New polling data. Trump with a commanding lead. Ben Carson slumping after the CNBC debate last week. And Bush, low single digits. Talk of him getting out of the race. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
We have a lot to talk about today. We are going to get to the debt ceiling. We're going to talk a little bit about the new speaker, Paul Ryan. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. But I want to look at some of these polling numbers because there's reality on the ground that we are going to have to face. The reality is that it would take either a cataclysmic miracle for Jeb Bush to come back, or it would take some unthinkable scandal to erupt from both Trump and Carson, and then perhaps Cruz and Rubio. In one of the polls that I just read, Bush was at 4%. Okay? 4%, and he had huge negative numbers. Reuters released a poll in which he had a net negative of 25 points. Now, what's interesting about this is when Donald Trump got in the race, he had very high negatives. And over the summer, when people focused on him and focused on his message, he did a 25-point swing in a matter of weeks. This is almost unheard of. In fact, many of the political pundits were saying this is unheard of. For somebody's net favorability, the feel-good factor, for it to change that suddenly is almost unheard of. Well, guess what? On a negative scale, not quite as much as with Trump, but on a negative scale, it's happening with Bush. Jeb Bush is cratering. He's had to cut staff. The staff that he has kept, he has had to cut their pay. And in spite of everything he's doing, he had this $100 million war chest. And now, last I heard, the number was down around $10 million, and he's having trouble raising money. So he's in real trouble. And most Republicans being polled right now believe that Donald Trump is going to be the nominee. Now, I'll be honest with you, the man who has shocked me the most is Ben Carson. And in part, I think it's because how low his energy is. He's clearly a brilliant man. He really is. But when he speaks, and sometimes he actually pauses and takes these long blinks with his eyes, like, Ben, please don't fall asleep. Is he going to fall asleep? What's he doing? Nevertheless, people like him. And his numbers have continued to go up, putting him almost neck and neck with Trump in some polls. But here's the thing. After the CNBC debate, the Reuters poll showed that his numbers dipped by almost 10 points. He was getting up there in the mid to high 20s, and the poll that I read this morning showed him at 18%. Money is the mother's milk of politics. I've run for the U.S. House twice, ran for state senate in Florida once, ran for president in 2012 as a protest candidate to run ads against Obama. It is hard work to raise money. It is hard. And, Ted Cruz said, you basically have to become shameless. Hi, my name is Ted Cruz. Can I please have money? That's what these guys have to live and breathe on. Jeb Bush comes from the moneyed class. His dad was the president of the United States, Bush 41. His brother, president of the United States, Bush 43. So they had the contacts, they had the infrastructure to go out and raise exorbitant sums of money, which they did early on. And interestingly, if you watch this program regularly, you know I am no Jeb Bush fan. No Jeb Bush fan. He has burned through about 90% of it. And his campaign spokespeople keep saying the same words over and over again, and they sound sillier and sillier every time they're said. I'll repeat some of the silly lines when I come back from this break, and we've got a clip from Rand Paul coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. Thanks to friends like you, we have state-of-the-art cameras and state-of-the-art teleprompters and state-of-the-art gear here in the studio. We have one big need, however. We have not yet been able to upgrade our computers. The computers that we use for a television broadcast or to create a documentary are not like the kind that you can just go buy at Best Buy. They are expensive because it takes so much horsepower to create TV series and or documentaries. So I'm asking you, if you want to see this show grow and you want to see us finish the What Would Muhammad Do series, help us get these computers. 3 computers that we need right now are going to be just shy of $20,000. That's the kind of horsepower that we need. Go to the GoFundMe page you see right there. Watch the pilot for What Would Muhammad Do? And if you like the show, give us a gift. In every good story or storyline or arc of a story, what do you need? Well, in every good story, or most good stories, you need a villain. You need either a villain that's a person or some insurmountable odds. You know, like, I'm going to climb this mountain. No one's ever climbed that mountain before. So the villain becomes the mountain or some wild animals or whatever. But in most stories that do well in books and do well in the box, or rather the box office for movies, there's a human villain. And the problem is that the Bush advisors have picked the wrong villain. The Bush advisors early on said, we are going to make Trump be the villain. He'll be the wind under our wings. He'll be the one who gives us lift. He'll be the foil. We are going to be the true Republican candidate, says Jeb Bush, who can fix things. And I've got a record as governor, and I've fixed things, and I worked across the aisle, and I lowered taxes, and I eliminated state regulations, and I gave breathing space for businesses, and I was a help for families. And oh, by the way, I let Terry Schiavo die, and I never really took on Planned Parenthood. I paid lip service to things that mattered to the religious right. But, so anyway, I added that stuff at the end. So they want to make Donald Trump the foil, the bad guy. And so Jeb's people, these lines that they keep giving are, Trump is a joke. Trump is not a real candidate. Trump's done. Trump is fizzling. Trump has no experience. Trump is too abrasive to be president. Trump is not going to be a good commander-in-chief. Trump can't build a wall. Trump is an idiot. How can you take this man seriously? Guess what, Jeb? You picked the wrong villain. Because people, in spite of the mockery of John Harwood at the CNBC debate, people are looking at him as a superhero, not a supervillain. They're looking at him as the guy, you know, they think about it. They listen to him. They watch his self-confidence. They watch his energy. They listen to him. They go, this guy's got $10 billion, okay? That's larger than the entire economy of some states. Do you understand how big that, how much money that is? Or I mean the state budget of various states. So they're looking at Trump saying he speaks directly, he takes on the media, he takes on the moneyed class, he takes on the political class, he's not afraid of Putin, he's not afraid of Mexico, and they think maybe this guy can pull it off, and that's what his numbers show. Meanwhile, Jeb, who missed the memo, and his staff who missed the memo, are trying to play Donald Trump as the villain, and it's not working. So in a good story, you have to have a villain to rise. But if you pick the wrong villain, what happens to your character? You go down. When you're the one who thinks that somebody is a villain and it turns out that they're not, but they're actually the good guy, you're the one who has egg on your face. You're the one who, you become the villain. You actually become the villain in the story. So I don't know how this is going to shake out, but as I mentioned early on, there's a political reality shaping up here. We're 90 days from Iowa, and New Hampshire is going to be right on its heels. 90 days is an eternity in politics. People are paying attention more now than they ever have, okay? In my lifetime, and I've been following politics like a junkie since I was a child because my mom and dad were both political activists. I have never seen in my lifetime this much attention this far out. So this is going to be shaping up, and it's going to become a money issue in the end. Jeb Bush has burned through this cash. Billy Bob asked me off there, how do you go through $90 million? Staff, consultants, huge bloated staffs of people that are sitting around squandering money. They're supposed to be going door to door, and they're not. I know this world, people. He's squandered the money, and now he's having trouble raising it. And he is having trouble in part because his numbers have cratered, and his numbers cratered because he picked the wrong villain. And oh my goodness, he's become the villain with a lot of people. High negatives like that, he's not going to be the nominee. He is going to have to withdraw. No matter how much they talk about he's going to make a comeback like John McCain. John McCain was never at 4%. Bush people, wake up. Christians must be involved in government, period. If Christians weren't involved in government, we would not have a United States of America. And there have been brilliant Christian minds over the centuries, such as John Locke, who is called the philosopher of American liberty. He was quoted by Clarence Thomas in his recent dissent on the homosexual marriage decision. If we don't understand John Locke, we don't understand the founding of America. I want to send you this book and my book, The Sword, subtitled The Blessing of Righteous Government and The Overthrow of Tyrants. I want to send you these two books for a gift of whatever you can afford. Pay the $8 shipping and handling, which does not cover our costs, and then give a gift of whatever size you want, and we'll send you these books. If you cannot afford anything but the $8, can't even afford that, write us a note, and we'll send them to you for free. I want you to have these books so that you can be better equipped to fight in the political arena. Come on, order them today. If a corporation raids the pension or the trust fund of its employees without the employee's knowledge and consent, takes the money and spends it on normal operating procedures or anything, the people who are involved in that are, if they find out about it, if the authorities find out, they're prosecuted as criminals. Do you understand that, right? It's theft. Well, what do you think is happening with the Social Security Trust Fund? I smirk, God forgive me. Let me just play this clip from Rand Paul. And the reason I think that this is fascinating is twofold. Number one, it got 22 million hits, which is a lot. It was a clip taken by Senator Lee, or put up by Senator Lee from Utah, and man, it just took off. 22 million views. But that's interesting. But the thing that's perhaps more interesting to me is people are looking at this like, wow, this is really news. This is really something. Man, oh man, can you believe what Senator Paul said? Watch the clip.
In the remaining time, I'd like to talk about a budget point of order that I'm going to be put forward. This legislation does something that many in this body have been critical of in the past. It actually takes money from the obligations to Social Security and transfers them to a more immediate program. Specifically written into the budget rules, though, were rules that say, you know what, if you're going to take money, if you're going to steal money from Social Security, from people who are retired who have put it in there, and you're going to spend it on something else, that there's a special budget point of order that says, in order to do this, you will need 60 votes. So we will be putting forward a budget resolution that says, do you know what? If you're going to steal money from Social Security, if you're going to take money from Social Security and you're going to spend it on other concerns, people say, well, we're going to spend it on disability. Well, the Social Security Fund was put forward as a pension plan. You have an obligation to those who put the money in. So stealing money from people who will be getting money in the future to pay for immediate concerns is robbing Peter to pay Paul. So those in this body will be asked tonight to vote on whether or not you're willing to vote to take money from Social Security to spend it on immediate concerns. This is sort of like saying, all right, I have a pension fund. Let's say I have $100,000 in my pension plan, but I want to go to the racetrack. And I need some money this week, so I'm willing to take the $100,000 out, and I'm willing to pay a $30,000 penalty, but I'm willing to do it because I am an addict, and I am addicted to spending, and I've got to spend the money now. That's what it is, and you're all guilty of it, right and left. You're going to take money out of the Social Security fund, and you're going to spend it on an immediate fix. And by fix, I mean not fixing the program. By fix, I mean what a junkie does. A junkie is addicted to spending. That's what the problem is here, is that we were addicted to spending. So, Mr. President, at this point, I would like to raise a point of order against the pending motion pursuant to Section 311A of S-Con Res 11, the concurrent resolution on the budget for FY 2016. The legislation reallocates payroll between the retirement and disability programs and therefore breaches the Budget Act. The yeas and nays.
Madam President.
All right, so he goes after right and left. Both the Democrats and the Republicans are involved in this, stealing people's money. He talks about it being like a drug addiction. You need a fix. And I don't mean you're taking the money to fix something, but you're like someone who's addicted to gambling or addicted to something else. And he's absolutely 100% spot on. He's spot on. But as I said, what perplexes me is the number of people that are talking about this like this is some new revelation. Social Security is considered the third rail of American politics, all right? The last figure I heard was about 30% of seniors, 30%, or I mean a third of seniors rely on Social Security for 90% of their income. What that means, by the way, is for them is that they are in poverty, okay? The biggest recipients of Social Security checks, if they're getting their monthly check and it's 90% of their income, then they are living in abject poverty. They're just going month to month because it's not enough money to live on. They're way below the poverty line, okay? So the fact that people are saying, wow, yeah, they took that money, that there's a whole new generation of people, it's mind-boggling to me. Social Security is called the third rail of politics. The third rail, for those of you who don't know, in a subway situation, the third rail is the one that's full of electricity. Okay, with a regular railroad track, the engine is self-propelled. All right, you've just got two tracks. But in a subway situation, it's the third rail that has the electricity. If you touch the third rail, you die. Okay, you die. So what they're saying is if you try and touch Social Security, you die. But what they mean is if you touch it to try and take it away or to try and change it or to try and phase it out and say young people shouldn't have to pay into a bankrupt system where everyone knows that their money's being stolen. If you try and bring about any common sense or ethical changes, it spells your death politically. But what doesn't spell your death politically is when you systematically steal, raid the trust fund, take money that's supposed to go for the pension of elderly people and steal it, flat out, use it for something else. It's theft. It is a Ponzi scheme. It is fundamentally immoral, and it cannot go on. That's why they keep on raising the year that you get to start taking it. That's why they keep raising how much you have to pay in, how what the grade level is. It's being destroyed on the installment plan. And because of strong lobbying groups and because there are so many elderly people that really do need it, people are afraid to touch it in a real way, but they're not afraid to touch it to steal from it. And I'm happy that Rand Paul got this discussion going again. Let's hope that we can have an intelligent discussion that cares for those elderly that are on Social Security right now and have no other means, but that we gradually phase it out, okay? I'm in my late 40s or early 50s, somewhere in there. I don't think that I'll ever see a dime of the money I've paid in, and I'm willing to let it all go. But don't force my boys, don't force my girls to pay into a system that is fraudulent. Come on, it's unethical. Let's do the right thing. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're going to run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. In 3, 2. Well, as you know, we have a new Speaker of the House, and la-di-da. When John Boehner is calling up Paul Ryan and saying, you've got to be the guy, okay, then you know that the fix is in. Wasn't it The Who? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. So one of the first things he does, of course, is he helps raise the debt ceiling. So overnight, America went into debt another $339 billion, okay? Now, I want you to look at this chart. Look at this. If there's a child born today, he owes or she owes $42,000 today. It's $42,759 for debt. That's not expenditures for roads or military. That's just debt. When that child is 18 years old, that child will owe $87,247. When that child is a grown adult at 29 years old, the adult will owe $163,452. Does anyone besides me think that that is fundamentally immoral? I mean, what are the things we have to start doing? When we look at what Rand Paul was talking about with Social Security, when we look at what Paul Ryan and others and Mitch McConnell are doing to just spend our way into oblivion, is we have to discuss it not only in financial terms, right? This is not simply a fiscal matter, but it's a moral matter. It's about good and evil. How many of you think that slavery, do you think slavery is bad? Forgive me, I spoke as if there was a crowd here. There is a huge audience. Do you think slavery is bad? Do you think it's evil? Well, the Bible says that the borrower is slave to the lender. As of today, China holds about 25% of American debt. All right, so 1/4 of what that 29-year-old owes when they're 29, $160,000, $40,000 of that is going to be debt owed to China. The borrower is slave to the lender. But here's where it gets really immoral. My children are being sold into slavery. Your children are being sold into slavery, your grandchildren, without their knowledge and consent. So picture a family that, in a storyline where they take their kid and they sell their kid as a slave just so they can have more money to do whatever it is that they want, whether it's need or whether it's fun. Or I want to go to college, I'm going to put my kid into slavery so I can pay for my new job training. Whatever it is, right? It's immoral. You would look at those parents and say, what kind of a disgusting human being are you that you would sell your child into slavery so that you could have more money? That's what our government is doing to us and to our children right now. And it's immoral, and we've got to stop it.